Hello, this time we're going to discuss the Pruz Bowl, or the basis for it, the financial aspects of the Shmita year. We summarized last time from the farmer's perspective what options he has on the Shmita. And just like at the very beginning when we started studying the agricultural aspects of the Shmita year, we looked at the verses upon which it's based. So too here we will look at the Pesukim upon which Shmita is based. And the verses are found in Dvarim Perek Tesvav, Deuteronomy chapter 15. Miket Sheva Shanim Tasei Shmita. At the end of 7 years, you'll make a sabbatical year. V'zei Dvar HaShmita, and this is the word of the Shmita. Shemot kol bal masei yado asher yasei v're'ehu. And everyone that carries a debt that is against his friend, lo yigoshes re'ehu, you will not press your companion, v'yasachiv, and your brethren, kikra Shmita l'Hashem, because it is called a sabbatical to God. Esa nachriti gosh, the stranger you will press, v'asher yeh lecha esachicha tishmat yidecha, and the loan that you have in your hand from your brother will be released from your hand. Efes ki lo yevecha evyon, none there will be a destitute. Ki varech yivarechecha Hashem ba'aretz, because the Lord your God will bless you in the land. Asher Hashem elokecha nosen lecha nachala l'rishta, in the land that the Lord your God has given you as an inheritance. Those are the first 4 Pesukim. Now skipping to verse 7. Kievacha evyon, when you have a destitute, mi'achad echacha, from among your brothers, be'achad sharecha, in one of your gates, be'artzacha asher Hashem elokecha nosen lecha, in your land that the Lord your God has given you, lo sa'ametz es levavcha, you will not harden your heart, v'lo tikbotz es yadcha mi'achicha evyon, and you will not close your hand from your poor brethren. Ki pasoach tiftach es yadcha lo, you will surely open your hand to him. V'havet tavitenu de mechsaro, you will provide him with what he is lacking. Asher yachsar lo, what is lacking to him. So what he's lacking, what is lacking to him. It's a double language, and of course, in Chumash, when there's a double language, it's teaching us something special. Hishamer lecha pen yeh davar im lavcha bilial lemor. You should guard yourself unless there is some low-life thought within you. Bilial is a word that only occurs twice in Chumash, as we'll see later. So you should not say, Karvash nasa shevash nasa shmita. The 7th year is coming, the sabbatical year. V'ra einecha be'achicha ha'evyon, and it will be evil in your eyes, your poor brethren. V'lo siten lo, and you will not give to him. V'kara elecha el Hashem v'haya v'chachet, and he will call to God, and it will be counted for you as a sin. Nason titen lo, you will surely give to him. V'lo yira levavcha b'sitcha lo, and it should not be evil in your eyes that you give to him. It shouldn't be bad that you're giving to him, even though you're not going to be able to collect the debt. Shmita is going to come, the debt's going to be annulled. Ki biglal hadvar hazeh yivarecha Hashem elokecha, because it is because of this, because you are giving him this loan, that the Lord your God has blessed you. B'chol masei mesacha b'chol mishlach yidacha, in all of your work and everything that you set your hand to. Ki lo yechdal evyon mikerev haaretz, because the destitute will never be finished from the land. Al ken, therefore, anochi mitzavcha lemor, therefore I commanded you, saying, Pasoach tiftach es yadcha le'achicha la'aniyacha v'yoncha be'artzacha, that you will surely open your hand to your brother, the poor in the land. So I want to look at some of the statements of some of the commentaries on this to see if we can widen our eyes before we start an analysis of the halachic sources. We'll start with Rashi, the dean of all biblical commentaries. Rashi says in verse 4, where it says, Efes ki lo yevecha evyon, that you will no longer have the poor, the desolate in the land. V'lahalanu omer, Rashi says, wait a second. Just a few verses later, in verse 11, it says, Ki lo yachdal evyon, that it will never cease to be the poor in the land. Ela bisman she'atem osim ritzono shel makom evyonim ba'acherim v'lo bechem. At the time that you do God's will, the desolate will be among other people, not among your own. I mean, you should still give to them, but v'kashe'ein atem osim ritzono shel makom. But when you don't do God's will, then the destitute will be among you and not among others. And then Rashi says, Evyon dal me'oni. Evyon, the destitute, is in a much worse situation than the simple poor. So Rashi says on verse 7, Sha'arecha, your gates, Aniyei arecha kodmin la'aniyei ir acheres. The poor of your city come before the poor of another city. Meaning, there is a preference in who you give tzedakah to. The people that are close to you, you should help first. The people that are farther away, you help afterwards. Lo sa'ametz, you shouldn't harden your heart and your hand to not give him. Yesh lecha adam shemitztayer im yiten im lo yiten. There are people that it hurts them if they give, and it hurts them if they don't give. Lechach nemar lo tametz. Therefore it says, do not harden your heart. Yesh lecha adam sheposhet et yado v'koftza. There are some people that reach out their hand to grab things, that are not embarrassed, are not reluctant to take charity. Lekach nemar v'lo tikpotz. And therefore it says, you shouldn't jump to receive charity. Meaning, if you are the giver, you should give it in an open way. You shouldn't harden your heart about it. If you're the poor and you need it, you should be willing to accept it. Mi'achicha evyon, from your desolate brethren. Im lo titen lo, sofcha lios achiv shel evyon. If you do not help the poor, Rashi says, that the verse is saying, in the end you will be the brother of the poor. Meaning you yourself become the poor and be needing help from the person that now you would have been helping. So in verse 8, it says, Psoach tiftach. You will surely open your hand to him. Afilu kama pamim, even several times. Meaning, I helped him. Now he needs more, so I have to help him again. I can't say, what are you talking about? I gave it to you yesterday. De mechzero, what is lacking to him. Viata mitzaveh lahashiro. You're not commanded to make him wealthy. What he is lacking, you have to make up. Meaning, someone that's hungry, someone that doesn't have decent clothing. I'm not saying he has to have fancy clothing, but he has to have something that's reasonable, respectable to wear. These things you have to make sure, the basic necessities you have to make sure people have. Lo to him, zuisha. This is a wife, meaning he has to be in a situation that he can maintain a normal type of life. V'kenhu omer, and so too it says in Bereshis, esei lo ezer knegdo, that God says, I will make a help meet opposite him, meaning God provides Adam Harishon with a wife. He provides him with clothing, provides him with food. This is the example, the paradigm of how we should work in giving out charity. V'haya v'chachet, and it will be for you a sin. Mikol makom, in any case, afilu lo yikra, even if the poor person does not call out against you, because for whatever he could complain that this is a person that's not providing me with the things that I need, even if he doesn't do it, nonetheless, God will consider it a sin if you don't help the poor and you are in a position to do so. Imkan lamanemar v'kara alecha. If so, why does the pasuk say that the poor will call out? Mimaher ani lifra al yedei hakore yoter mimi she'eno kore. He says, as Rashi says, if it's such a position that the poor is of such broken heart that he calls to God, that is the person that God is going to respond to first. He's not going to ignore the others. But if you are in a situation where you could help someone that's in such a low position that they're begging God for help and they're complaining to God that you're not helping, then you are going to pay that account sooner than the person that is not in that bad a situation. It could be he's in the worst financial situation, but not as bad a emotional situation. Nason titenlo, you will surely give to him. Afilu mea pamim. This time Rashi goes farther. Now in the second verse, in verse 10, he goes farther than he did in verse 8, and he says even if he needs it 100 times, meaning there are people that perpetually will never be able to support themselves. That doesn't mean that we don't have to support them. It could be that this is a person that throughout their entire life is going to need charity, and if so, we are going to have to be providing them with the basic necessities that they need for their entire life. Ki biglal hadavar hazeh, because of this thing, because you will be able to give charity. God gave you a significant amount of money. Afilu amarted litain, even if you could, ata notel schar ha'amira im schar ha'maseh, you get a reward for saying it along with doing it. Meaning, when it could be that all you can give the person is emotional support right now, that you can get a reward for that along just as much as a reward for helping him financially. It might be that you're not in a position to help him in any significant way more than $1, which really won't help him. But if you do it in a way that shows that you feel for him, that shows that you're aware of his struggles and that you want to take some of it, lift some of it off of him, this is also something for which you can get a reward. Lamor is saying, Eitza l'tovascha ani masiacha. Rashi is saying that here, when we're telling you that there will always be poor, so you always must have the institutions that are going to take care of the poor. And God says, this is good advice that I'm giving you, that a society should always have systems for taking care of the poor. It's interesting, the Shulchan Aruch writes that we have never heard of a community that doesn't have a charitable fund. In the history of the Jewish people, he says, we've never heard of a Jewish community without a charitable fund. It's something that we should always have. And Rashi is saying this verse is God's advice to us that we should always have a charitable fund. In the next year, we will continue and look at other commentaries on these 11 Pesukim. Everyone should have a wonderful day.